Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my ficus rumphii. The last time I worked on this tree was on June the 8th, so quite a while ago. This cutting was given to me by Connor and it came off his giant ficus rumphii, the root over rock one. So let's go back in time to June 8th and I'll show you how it looked back then and the repotting process.
It's kind of an unusual style, but you see this in nature. Ficus trees with the branches coming out almost right at the ground level. I don't really have a tree styled that way with the really low branches, so I'm going to try it with this tree. I think it'll look okay. I think it will thicken up at the base, the junction of these three branches, so we will get some inverse taper, but I think I'll also get aerial roots dropping down off these branches, and it'll turn into something quite natural and quite unique looking, I think. There we go. So there it is. I'm glad that it's not really root bound. If you see the roots here, there's lots of fine roots. It's not, great big thick roots that have been in there for 3 or 4 years. So I'm going to comb them out and we'll see what kind of trunk I have on this cutting. There's another one off here that it's not too bad. It's not, it is growing downwards, but I can prune it off shorter and redirect it to a better direction, like that. And that gets rid of those two major roots that were growing stronger than all the others. Okay, let's see if I can get this tree in place. So, I want to rotate it just a bit like that. Now I'll have to comb out these roots very carefully. So I got this really cool rock that Tom sent me from Grow and Clip Bonsai for Seniors. It's an awesome rock, really highly textured. So I'm going to place that underneath this branch like that. I've got another cool rock here I can place under this one. And this will all help to hold the tree up. And then I've got a kind of reddish rock I can put out front here. So it doesn't look the greatest with the rocks around it, but after about a month, I can take all the rocks away and the tree will be really stable in the pot. These roots will grow like crazy. There's a look at those scale insects. You can see the little blisters along the branch there. So I just break all those scale blisters like that. And then I come in with the soap and water and you just blitz them. So it's 40 parts water to 1 part liquid dish soap. The kind you use for washing the dishes by hand. So yeah, don't let the soil dry out on the first day or two at all. Try and keep the plant in the shade. Keep it misted and well watered. And it should recover quite quickly.
We're back to present time now, and you can see how well the tree has grown. It hasn't had any more insect problems. There haven't been any scale insects come back or anything, so it's just been growing all summer, and it's been growing really well. I'm going to style this tree to have really low branches, almost at ground level, kind of sweeping up. A crown on the tree, so a fairly normal trunk. It might be multi-trunked, whatever the tree gives me. I do need to bring the tree in more compact. It's starting to get really, really long, taking up a lot of space on the benches, and I couldn't bring it inside for the winter with it this large. I'd have to reduce it back anyway. So if I prune it now, kind of towards the end of summer, it'll give the tree time to grow and recover before it goes inside. Let's go in now and have a look at the existing structure. So it's kind of strange looking. I've got two kind of branches opposite each other, and then behind it I have a vertical section that goes up which will be my main trunk line. So my intent is to prune these horizontal branches off shorter and get some ramification, some taper, and hopefully it'll stimulate some new branches so I can get more low branches than just the 2. I'm going to start the pruning with the apex. I've got a nice branch here and a nice one at the back. If I let this grow too much longer, it might start drooping instead of growing more vertically. So I'm going to prune it back shorter. So I'm going to look for a bud that kind of will take it more vertically. So a bud facing this direction, if you look at it from the side view. So there's a leaf kind of out front. If I pruned it just above that, my new shoot would kind of come a little more vertical. So I don't think I want to go that low, so maybe this one here is a good new leader. So I'll take it off right here. So here I go. Just like that. And I'll grow all these as cuttings because they're a great tree for bonsai. I'll just remove the lower leaves like that. Actually, 2 more. And I'll stick that in soil and grow it as a cutting. The other part of the leader over here, the same thing. I don't want it to, go too horizontal. So I'm going to just take the tip off right here. Like that. Now, I've got to deal with these big horizontal branches. Especially the long one here that's kind of cascading over the edge of the pot. So let's have a look at that now. The branch over here to the left-hand side has a division here, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to prune it back short, but I'll keep that division. And I'm going to prune it right here. So here I go. Another nice cutting. And then the one on this side, I want it shorter too, so I'll go right here. Like that. So that shortens that branch up. The one on this side is just long and has no sub-branching. So I'm just going to prune it off at a particular point. I can see a little bit of where the leaves were attached, so I could do some directional pruning in this area. As you go further back in the branch, it gets harder and harder to see the leaf scars because the bark starts taking over. Another thing I can do, I can take all these rocks away. The tree is really firmly rooted in the pot. So I'll take away all these rocks. Like that. And underneath the rocks I can see some roots growing across the surface of the soil. And I can also see some flare, some trunk flare starting at the base here because of the nice radial root spread. So here I go. I'm going to make a cut. I'm just going to come in. This one is about this long before it branches, so I kind of want to match that sort of closely. Maybe I'll go here. Here I go. Like that. So another really large cutting. I'll get the cuttings ready for planting, so I just remove all the lower leaves. That reduces the transpiration load on the cutting. So I'm just keeping a few at the top. And they'll probably go limp. But usually something survives. So that's quite a large cutting, which is fine. I can grow, a fairly large tree out of that. And here's the other one. It has kind of a bit of a movement to it. It's kind of a cool cutting. I'll remove all these leaves. You'll be able to see it a little better. It should make for a good tree once I get it rooted. Yeah, so I'll just leave these 2 leaves on the top. So there's that cutting. So you can see I've got a fairly straight one and then one with a lot of movement. So I'll stick those in soil, put them in the greenhouse, and hopefully they will root. I think they will. The last cutting I have is a little tiny one here that I'll just remove the lower leaves. Like that. And I can plant that one. Just a little cutting. All right, into the greenhouse, I'll get them planted. The solar powered fans are working beautifully today. The sun was
fully on the solar panel just a few minutes ago, and it was just whirring full speed. It was amazing how much air that fan moved. It was incredible. All right, I'm going to put the cuttings in the seed tray now. Like that. And then my tall ones, I'll put one over here. No. Right there, some nice firm soil. And I'll put one back in here. Okay, and I'll give it all a watering to make sure there's good moisture around the cuttings. So this cutting tray here, that I have all these cuttings in, whenever some comes over, I give away cuttings. So that's why it looks a bit like things are being pulled out, because I gave Isabella a whole bunch of little cuttings. And that's what they're here for. I have enough trees, so I just give my cuttings away. And I hate to just throw away plant material, so it's always good to make some cuttings and give them away to other people who might want them. Here's a look at my ficus rumphii now. This tree is in the very early stages of development, so anything could happen. I could get all kinds of new shoots coming off of it. It'll be interesting to see where it goes in the future. I'm going to work on another ficus today, that little ficus microcarpa in the Vietnam style 3D printed pot, so I'll get that out. Here's a look at the ficus microcarpa. It's a small tree, but it's really grown nice and bushy, so it's a good time to prune it back hard and redevelop new branches. I'm going to start by pruning this lowest branch back here. I don't even know if I'll keep it, but I'm just going to prune it more compact. It's way too long. So I have a branch coming out the front here, and then this one kind of subdivides out here, which is too far away from the trunk. I want to prune it back, you know, at least keeping it about that length. So I can keep that branch, and I'm looking for leaf scars. Not a lot. I'll go here. It's a little long, but like that. It gets it a little more compact. And then the one coming off of here, I'll prune this one back also to there, making that a more compact branch. I'll come up now. So I've got branch here. I can take this one off here, shortening that. There's one out the back here that's growing straight up here. I'll show you that. Here's that branch here. You can see it shooting straight up here. Doesn't flow in with anything. I'll put it off shorter just in case I decide I want it to a branch that's kind of fanning outwards. I'm not sure I'll keep it. I'm going up the tree now. There's a dead part of the branch here I can take off. There's a dead branch here I can take off. Like that. The dead tip here. So this branch, I'm going to shorten that now. I've got two horizontal leaves here, so I'll take it off right here. Like that. This part, I'll take off here. Now, I've got a branch. So this is the front of the tree. The trunk is kind of leaning towards you. At least at the present time anyway. Maybe that should be the back. I don't know. I think for the leader, this will be the leader, kind of the main trunk line. I could have it divided to make a crown, which would look quite nice. So I think I will. I don't want this tree really tall. I want it short and compact. So I have, on this branch here, I have a leaf here and here. So I can take it just beyond that. And then on this one, I have
a branch facing downwards here, one off to the left and one to the right. I think I'm going to take it off here. There's a bit of ramification, but gets the tree compact. And then for the leader, it's growing really well, but it's getting too tall. I kind of want my crown at this height, so I've got a horizontal branch here and one on the inside. I think I'm going to take it off here. A bit of a Hail Mary cut. Here I go. Like that. That's a lot I just took off. So that gets the tree pruned down nice and compact. I can take this one back a bit. Let's get that apex trimmed up a bit. I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. Interesting. This branch is just too long. I'm going to do a Hail Mary cut here. I'm going to prune it right here, just see what happens. Here I go. Like that. It's just too long, that branch. So it's not the most attractive tree in the world. I like what's happening up top. I've got some really coarse roots down below. Hopefully, you know, it'll get aerial roots someday. It'll help kind of cover up the thicker roots with some finer ones, and it'll start looking more in proportion. That moss actually climbing up the trunk here will help the formation of roots in there. So I'm going to leave the moss climbing up the trunk because I'm not too concerned with the bark texture at the moment. I would rather get some fine roots growing in that area. So I'll just continue letting this moss grow up the trunk, and hopefully I'll get all kinds of roots in here that can take over and give the trunk a little more interest. So I think that's about all I can do on the tree for today, you know, other than repotting it, but I'm not going to do that yet. There's a really thick root coming out the bottom here. I'll show you that. Here's a look at the root, the giant root that's growing out of a drainage hole in the bottom of the pot. If I leave it there, it'll break the pot apart, so I'm going to have to remove it today. And I think because it's so large, it's contributing to the coarser growth up top. Instead of developing a fine root system in the pot, it's got this great big thick one under here that's just kind of taken over as the main root. So I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to have to come in here with the shears and remove that. I'm having a look at it. So I'm just going to cut it off rough for now. I don't know if this one comes apart. No, I think the top is glued on to these pillars, so I can't take the top of the pot off. So here I go. I'm coming in with a cut here, like that, and then I'll remove the root that's underneath. Maybe I'll pull it out the front. It's going to take... There's a lot of roots coming with it. There we go. Well, that's enough for a whole tree there. There's a grub in there. Take that out. Yeah, so that cleans up all that rootage underneath the pot, which is kind of cool, but yeah, it was getting really, really large. I saved a couple of cuttings from this tree also, so I'll plant those in the greenhouse too. I think the little ficus is looking much better now. It's more in proportion, and I think after this pruning it'll explode in all kinds of new growth and give me more branches to choose from, and it'll look pretty good. Let's go to today's updates now. It is another hot and humid day today, so let's go over here and we'll find the first update today, and that is my giant sequoias, the ones that aren't so giant. So they're doing really well. They're over here in the sun. Hey, ducks. Excuse me, excuse me. Here they are here.
So here's my sequoia forest. So they're doing pretty well. I've got quite a few of them. Some are getting kind of branching on them. There's a few new ones still popping up out of the soil, so that's exciting. I should do a count and see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now, you don't count your trees before they mature, but that's not a bad number, 21. And, you know, like Ray said in his video, you start with a lot of seedlings, and, you know, through the years, there's going to be some that die, some don't make it. Hopefully, you get a small group of good trees in the end. So that's exciting, just to get these sequoias started and on their way as a bonsai. I've got 5 flowers on my gardenia out today. So the fragrance is 5 times as more powerful as it was with just the one flower. It's fantastic. Over here, I removed all the seed pods off of my small leaf linden, and it wasn't looking very good. And after I did that, it started growing really well. You can see all the new growth on it. The leaves are larger, it's growing with vigor. So I'm glad I did that. I've even got some new branching down here. And my goal is to kind of build a small apex in this area and then have this as sort of a cascading branch. We'll see. But the root base is really awesome on this tree. Yeah, it's pretty nice. My crown of thorns has been flowering all summer. It's got a fantastic canopy of flowers on it. Really cool. There's my wife feeding the chickens. Hi everyone. Hello. Hi. They're all patiently waiting. Hi. Here it comes.
Stand back, guys. Hey.
They're rather impatient. Here it comes. Get ready, everyone.
There you go.
Those fans in the greenhouse make it quite pleasant in here on a sunny day. Normally the air is very still in here and you overheat quickly, but with those fans going, just that nice breeze keeps you quite cool. It's kind of nice. Here's my aloe bonsai. I can tell that the roots have filled the pot because it's not growing with the same intensity it did after I repotted it. It's kind of just grown a little more slowly this year. I do have more aerial roots forming down, coming off the branches and the trunk. It's still looking like quite a monster of a thing, but I really like it. It's pretty cool planting. Here's a look at my rocks from the collection trip with Stefan. You can see that even though it's getting close to noon hour, they're still moist, and that's because it's humid out. And the rocks, they stay cool from overnight. They hold their cool temperature. So when it starts warming up in the daytime, the moisture in the air condenses on the rocks, and that's what keeps them, the moss green on them. I water them occasionally. If it's really dry out, I give them a watering. But most of the time, they just kind of naturally stay damp because of the temperatures. So that's pretty cool. The last update for today is my lemon tree. So it has a whole bunch of new shoots coming out, and you can see them right here. So what I do, when they're at about this stage, when you can see all the definition of the leaves, I come in and I just pinch the tip. And I'll use a bit of directional pruning. So I come in and I'll pinch off the tip like that. Pinching the tip off. And that keeps the branch from elongating too much. It doesn't get too wild and large and out of control. It just kind of keeps it more to a medium size. So that'll look much better once it fills out a bit. It'll be a nice tree someday, this lemon tree.
And that's it for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.